Okay, I see. Story's up. All right, Chicago Hockey Radio post games. Justin Lynch, Tassos, Kirkos, Hawks lose 4-2 to the Buffalo Sabres on home ice. Justin was boots on the ground in attendance tonight for the game. How are we feeling tonight?
Yeah, well, a tough one. I mean, I drove 6 hours from Ohio to see the game tonight, and I will be driving another 6 hours tomorrow back to school for Monday. So unfortunate to see a loss, but you know what? It's not a loss I think I could be too upset about. I think the Hawks played a strong game today. Not a good start. They did not have a strong first period, and we talk about, like you've said this a lot, the Hawks have had a hard time coming out strong in the first. I think with the Sharks game being an exception, I think that's definitely been the team's weakest period to start the season. And that was definitely the case today. The Sabres go off to early 2-0 lead. Couple weak goals, maybe a couple solid one could have had back. I think the first goal was just a good shot from Thompson, but maybe Peter has that one. The second goal was an unlucky bounce, so you could put luck to it, but it wasn't a good start to the game for the Blackhawks, and they kind of had to claw their way back, which they did. I think the second period was a lot stronger. They tied the game up, which I think a really positive thing to talk about is Lucas Reichel's game today. I think that's the main takeaway for me. This is a guy who was scratched the first 4 games of the season and the road trip, and they brought him back in the lineup in his homestand, and he's looked great. He looks like a player who's very motivated this year. He looks like a different player. He's been very active on the forecheck, been physical, been good defensively as well as offensively. He's not been a liability. He's just been strong in all aspects of the game. I know it's only 2 games, but he and Craig Smith look really good on that fourth line today. Richardson moved him back to the wing where he should be, and I thought that was a great line. He, Athanasiou, Smith, I keep that line together. I think they were home today. All of our offense came from the fourth line, though, where you're not going to win a lot of games when you're completely relying on your fourth line for offense. So that's another discussion. I think the top 6 was quiet today. I'd say this was Bedard's first game where I didn't really notice him that much. This was not a good game for him. I mean, granted, the 5 games before this, I think we're all great. Even the couple where he didn't have points, I thought he was good. Today, average game, got his looks, but I don't even know if he had a shot on goal. Maybe he had one late. He may have had one late, but at least for most of this game, I don't think he had a shot on goal. And yeah, the third period, that puck just got to get out of the zone. Pretty simple. I mean, TJ Brody, I know I've harped on him a lot, but he did not do himself any favors tonight. Not a good game from him. And I look at the NHL game scorecards for today, and he was the worst player in the Hawks, analytically speaking. So, yeah, I don't know why that guy's still in the lineup. I don't know why a guy like Isaac Phillips isn't. We just called him up. But that is my opening synopsis. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game by the Hawks. A lot of shots. I don't know about the quality of shot selection all the time, but the Hawks definitely got their share of grade A looks. But 37 shots was a season high for them. The goaltending thing, the Soderblom goals at the beginning of the game, the two goals. There's traffic in front on the second one. The first one is just a really good shot that kind of handcuffs them a little bit. But yeah, I thought, the big thing for me with this team is the starts. How well do they start these games, and what do the first periods look like a lot of the time? And I didn't think the first was really great tonight. Sorry, I'm just clearing up the face a little bit of the microphone. Yeah, I didn't love the first tonight. I thought it could have been a lot better, but good game from the team overall. I thought in a loss, as good of a loss as it could have been. I thought.
That's a great point. I mean, yeah, it sucks to lose, and you never are happy or satisfied with losses. But this is a loss, I think, especially of where this team's at right now in the rebuild. Like, I will not complain about losing games like this season. Like, yes, it's one we should have come away with, but we all shot the Sabres by 15, 37, 22. And yes, it's the team with the most shots doesn't always win, and it's like it doesn't always tell the whole story, right? Like, I think the Sabres probably had higher quality chances today than we did. I think that was the difference, right? We had 37 shots that go to season high, but how much of those are really high quality chances, just throwing the puck on net from the point or wherever? Didn't really get a lot of high quality chances in today, which, to be fair, Luukkonen was very strong enough for the Sabres, who I think up to this point had a bit of a rough season. But today he was great, 35 saves and 37 shots. And I was nervous going into this matchup. I know I predicted the Hawks win. I was definitely a homer. I wanted to see a win because I was going to be there, which I was. But I was nervous. I said on the Friday pod, like, the Sabres are 1-4-1. It kind of felt like they were due. And you know what? They showed up today. Definitely not perfect, but I thought they were strong in the neutral zone. They won all the puck battles. That was something I really noticed live. I felt like every single puck battle, they were coming out the puck, which is something that we struggle with today. That was definitely a strong thing for the Sabres. Their forecheck was good, takeaways, things like that. And just, we never really had time and space in the offensive zone. Didn't have a lot of time and space to work with. They're all over Bedsy today. Wasn't really able to work his magic because they were just all over him.
Yeah.
And just really kind of shut us down. Yeah.
The people are saying I have a big echo on me. Sorry if that is the case. It should be fixed now, but still
Do
working
I
on it
sound all
here.
right?
Yeah, I don't know. Tough night. We're all in different spots. Lee is sick as
Yeah.
a dog, so um,
Hope it gets better.
yeah, he should be all right though. Um, so yeah, Reichel was the big takeaway for me
Yes.
too. To just outside of the 2 assists, just the energy, the thoughts, the thoughtfulness with the puck, without the puck was better. The speed was good. For a team that scratched, Pat Maroon tonight, you were probably looking for a bit more speed against a team that likes to play with pace with like Buffalo. So yeah, Lucas Reichel was definitely the big storyline.
Bit of a
Um,
nasty game, eh? I think we
yeah,
actually, it was nice to have the speed in the lineup, but I don't know, some of those tussles and fights, I was kind of thinking in my head, back in my head, Maroon actually probably would be good for a situation like this, right? But no, it was definitely very feisty. Saturday night's all right for fighting. It definitely was at these teams. Well, the refs kept getting in the way, which that's another dialogue. I hate to put any blame. I don't like blaming refs, and I'm not saying that they were at fault, but just in person, this did not seem like the best officiated game. I don't know. Maybe that's a difference in watching the game live versus TV. I don't know if you noticed anything. I'm still confused how the Sabres had that power play in the end there, and they were 0 for 5 in the power play, by the way. Sabres 3 goals and still have yet to score a power play goal, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was just me live. Maybe that's just me being biased, but I didn't feel like they were the best. They kept getting in the way too. Like the amount of times they've just be in the way of the puck and the players. I thought it wasn't the best performance tonight, but maybe that's just me.
we
I
doing a little ref talk right now. I mean, like I thought the
I might be
refs
fishing
were.
there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say. It's easy to say the refs when the Hawks get one power play and the Sabres get five, right?
And some of them were
Um,
justified. It's just where the last one I
yeah,
was
yeah,
confused about. Like there's this large tussle, and it's like I don't understand why we had one more in the box, but whatever. But getting back to the Reichel point, I think it's huge for him. Yeah, it's one game, but last year he went like what the first 10 games or so without getting a point. Like early in the season when he struggled at center, like that killed his confidence. They moved him back to the wing, but it took him almost the entire season to get his confidence back. They had to send him back to Rockford, which they waited way too long to do, by the way. Waited till he had what, like 10 points in 50 games in February to send him down. And he came back the last few games. He looked like Lucas Reichel that we saw in 22-23, the trade deadline with Anthony Siu. Like those two were great. I think him coming back from injury at the end of the year helped a lot too. And when those two play together, yeah, I know it was mostly Craig Smith. It was mostly those two who cooked today, but I think just having him on that line too, the speed they have it really helps him out a lot. I think just having a game like this so early in the season is so huge for his confidence, especially when you could argue it would have been shot. I thought it would be shot by scratching those first 4 games. I think maybe if anything, it had a reverse effect. Maybe Richardson had something in mind here because he just seemed really motivated today, which at times watching Reichel last year, I feel like he lacked a bit of that. He lacked a bit of that drive in all 3 zones. And today he was just had such a complete game. Like he was genuinely our best player on the ice today. I know Smith had both the goals, but Reichel set them both up. I mean, on a silver platter.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I thought he was our best player on the ice. Every shift he was effective. You noticed him. I thought that line just drove the play. I mean, I wish we could have got something from another line. This game could have gone to OT, but what are you gonna do?
yeah. And it's funny that it's the fourth line that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
Not not the first couple of lines, but
Yeah, this was the first game where I really did not notice the first line. They were just completely shut down today. So credit to the Sabres. I thought it'd be a high scoring affair, which 4-2. I mean, it's not low scoring per se, but I thought this would actually be a game for the first time to get a lot of chances. But Lindy Ruff, new coach there, and he's really strong with him kind of improving in that aspect of the team. Like the Sabres had good structure today. Definitely looked a lot better defense. Like this looked like the way I think Sabres fans would expect the team to play. They look like that tonight. And they needed this. They needed this win. The 2-4-1 now. They couldn't afford to start off 1-5-1. So it was definitely an important game for them. We dropped a 2-3-1, but I'm still happy with the start. It's that's the thing. Like after every loss, I wouldn't say there's one loss yet this season where I'm like where it's fully negative. Like I think there's still a lot of positives to take away. We haven't really had one completely ass game. We've been in every game, we've been competitive, and that's just what you want to see. That's what you love to see, and that's what's different so far about this year's team versus last year's team. I know we're 6 games in this season. It's October, as Lee would say. It doesn't matter, but I think it does matter. I think it's very important to see that this early in the season. Yeah.
yeah. JJ Paterka is having a real good start to the year too. He looked
Yeah,
really
four
good
goals,
tonight.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Thompson was so noticeable, man.
yeah,
He was good today. What a player to watch, man. This is size and what he brings. True power forward. And yeah, I said it like if those young guys can show up, like they can finally get cooking, that'd be huge for them. And yeah, Krebs had a point tonight as well. Yeah, and then Cousins actually he finally showed up power. A lot of those guys you want to see show up showed up for them today. So good for the Sabres. Important for their season. They really need to get going. So this game maybe can help them do that.
Yeah, I
2 points for Paterka. Yeah, good night.
yeah, it was a good muck it up kind of game though. A lot of
Yeah.
block shots, a lot of hits, a lot of um, you know, stifling neutral zone play. I thought it was pretty good.
It's a little frustrating to watch at times though, because there were many shifts. So I'm like, the Hawks are going to break through here in the third. I was convinced they were going to tie the game. I was convinced this game was going to overtime. Like we were cooking here, and then we got the shorthanded, 5 minutes left. It's like, okay, now we got killed. A penalty in that 2 minutes takes away a lot of time for the Hawks to work with, but try to tie the game up. And when that happened, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be tough to come back. And yeah, unfortunately, they were able to seal the game with an empty netter there. But we had a lot of chances before that. Came very close. I think Bertuzzi had a really good look there in the end. A couple others, but Darb was finally starting to do stuff. But unfortunately, just wasn't enough today, unfortunately.
Hawks will play the Buffalo Sabres again in Buffalo, yeah, on December 26th, the day after Christmas.
Oh,
So
nice. Very cool.
that will finish up the season series between these two teams. Yeah, I don't know. UPL was very good. Ukko-Pekka
Yeah,
Luukkonen was
he was a
very good.
difference maker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good goalie. He if him and Devin Levi are like really good, like if UPL is Linus Ullmark before he leaves for Boston to you know for Buffalo, I think that it is going to be a much better team. Like that's like 2 points in the
Mhm.
bag. It was I was watching the Hockey Night in Canada game, Leafs Rangers, and Igor Shesterkin just stole 2 points for the New York Rangers. It was a really good game, and
Mhm.
he was just unbelievable and stood on his head. And a good goalie can definitely win you a hockey game. A bad goalie night can definitely lose you a hockey game too. But a good one can certainly take 2 points. So
That's a good point you mentioned. It's not just Luukkonen, right? Like Levi's a goalie of tremendous potential. I remember
yeah,
before last season, people were thinking he could be like a dark horse Calder favorite, which he had kind of a rough year last year, but that's a goalie with so much potential. I remember watching the World Juniors in 2020 with Canada. That guy, like, he hardly let in anything that tournament. So a lot of potential. And yeah, those two could be a good 1A, 1B tandem. That could be all Buffalo needs. I think goaltending has been kind of one of their issues the last few seasons and one of the reasons they haven't been able to break through. I think not Olmark, but since then. But if these two could be a good tandem for them this year, I know they started the season off not the way they wanted, but I still see the potential. I see the vision of what this team can be, of all the talent. I feel like it's too good of a team to not be at least 500 in the mix, fighting for a wild card spot. But it is tough in that division, right? It's so tough, for sure. I still don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but they'll definitely make things interesting.
Bedard had
Did he have a
two
shot on goal today?
shots. He
Two
had
shots.
2 shots on goal in the first period, and then none
Oh,
in the second or third.
I don't know how I missed that in the first, but actually no, I do remember now. I think it was one of them was like a rebound. Yeah, no, it was definitely his quietest game. It really was.
Yeah,
Definitely his worst, but he is human. It's easy to forget that. You can't expect this guy to show up every night. I would hope so. I was really hoping he'd show up for me, but I don't know, maybe the lights were too bright. He must have known I was there and was like, oh no, I'm being delusional right now. But it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen. Maybe he was due for a game like this. Yeah, and it's good. Like he'll learn from it. He'll get better. It happens. Yeah,
yeah.
but I think yeah, you
Well,
go. Sorry.
and no, I was just gonna say, like, in a market like this and with a team like this, where it's pretty clear here that the offense is going to funnel through Connor Bedard, much in the way that you see offenses funneled through some of the team's best players. Like you watch the Boston Bruins, it's funneled through David Pastrnak. You watch the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and William Nylander. You watch any of these teams. And when you are the guy, your performance is going to be hyper scrutinized, especially in an original six market.
Yeah.
So Bedard talk is kind of going to be like a weekly or like a nightly thing on these post game shows where it's like, okay, well, how'd Bedard play?
And
You
that's totally
know?
fair. And it's the reason a lot of people are going to tune into this. Some people are going to be watching this probably solely because they want to hear what Bedard's doing. They might not give a shit about the Blackhawks, right?
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but I mean, with the Blackhawks, I do think there's a dialogue that needs to be had here. It's like it seems like it is a streaky like win-loss cycle type of team once again. Like last year, they'd have a problem winning consecutive games, and I hope that isn't going to be an issue again this year. And then I know this team's mentions like they don't want to take any more moral victories, right? Like that's not enough. Like in that locker room, it's not going to be good enough that they look good today, that they outshot and outplayed the Sabres for most of this game. It's like they're not taking that anymore. It's like it's at the end of the day, it's the result that matters, right? And yeah, if you look better and you outshot them 37-22, it's like you still lost the game 4-2. Like the only stat that really does matter at the end of the day is the amount of goals that were scored. You can lead everything else and still lose the game, and I don't think they'd be too happy about it. So, but no, it's a good learning experience, and also gotta give hats off to Craig Smith. I know we've dogged him a lot in this pod to start the season, but he had a great game today, 2 goals. You gotta give him props there. Definitely earned himself a few games there, and Donato too. He didn't produce today, but they put him back in the lineup, and I thought he was pretty solid. Looked pretty good. So. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the lineup looks like next game. I think Tuesdays against the Canucks. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, so I think Anderson was out today because of illness, so maybe if he slots in or not, who knows? But he hadn't really done much, so I wouldn't really be upset if he did it. And Maroon, who knows how what his? I know he blocked a shot, and I think for soreness was the reason he was out. So I don't know how long he's gonna be out with that. But yeah, we'll be interested to see if any of those either of those two. Sorry, I can't talk. Either of those two are gonna be back in the lineup for Tuesday. And on defense, I would get Phillips in there. I know they're not gonna scratch Brody, but he should the way he's been playing. I would get Isaac Phillips in the game Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. They do play the Canucks on Tuesday as well.
Okay, and that's home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they start with 4 games away and then 4 home, perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Yeah. So I just think with Bedard, like if he's not going, the Hawks aren't going. And most nights, like, yeah, you might get 2 goals from Craig Smith, sure. But, do the 2 goals from Craig Smith matter if you also don't get 1-1 from 98, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think for me though, the fact that Reichel got 2 points kind of cancels that out a bit. Where it's like, yeah, Bedsy's the guy, but like he's not going to show. He's going. Every player has his off nights, But I understand what you're saying. I think the Hawks aren't going to win a lot of games when Bedard doesn't produce at least a point, right? It's
No.
probably not going to be a very common occurrence. And I kept waiting for it to happen. I kept waiting at the end of the game, like, okay, right, Bedard's been too quiet tonight. Like he's going to do something, and it just never happened. So, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else? I mean, too bad the power play didn't get more looks. Otherwise, we could have.
Yeah, just the one. That's the thing. I think Lee even said this like on the pod, like previewing this game. It's like we got to get power plays going, right? I think special teams we could beat the Sabres, but we spent pretty much the majority of this game even strength on the penalty kill, and that's where they took advantage of us. I think that's another big reason why they won this game, right? Like if we could have gotten a few more power plays, used some penalties, this that we could have been a difference in this game. So yeah, that's another thing to take away. Hawks aren't always going to get all those looks, right? So it's like, okay, what are we going to do at even strength here? You still got to see that first line produce, not in the power play, which most of that production, to be fair, has come on the power play. So, want to see some more even strength production from the Hawks for sure.
Yeah, and this guy too. I mean, we should mention it.
Penalty kill was great though.
Yeah,
Gotta give him credit. Yeah.
This commenter, who I agree with, and I feel like we've given him a little bit of love, but Soderblom looks like a completely different goalie from last year. Is the comment, and I agree with that 1,000%.
Wasn't as strong as his Winnipeg game, but there wasn't nearly as much shots. But I don't think you can really put too much on him. Like you could argue maybe he could have had a couple tonight, but the second one unlucky. First one, like you said, just good shot. Maybe Peter has it, maybe he doesn't. It's a lot of ifs, right? Like I wouldn't put this one in him. I think yeah, I think he looked good, and like you said, definitely looks like a stronger goaltender this year. Might be the last game he plays of us for a while because I imagine Brosweiss going to be back soon. They probably send him down the Rockford, but the way he's played, he probably is going to earn himself a few more games this season at some point. But maybe being a starter in Rockford would be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I was they're not letting me view the ice time reports now anymore, but I was just trying to see who got the most ice time here.
Try to read your chat. I've been reading chat to see if I have any questions here.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to send questions, you guys. Also, while I'm spending a second trying to look up some stuff, go like and subscribe to this channel right now at Chicago Hockey Radio on YouTube. We greatly appreciate that. We are here after every Blackhawks game, home or away, rain or shine, morning, afternoon, or night. And we are also here for the podcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, too. So the more you subscribe and leave 5 stars on Spotify, the more we will be able to eventually make this a Monday through Friday show. But Yeah, definitely smash the subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram too at Chicago Hockey Radio. You can DM us questions there if you want us to read them on the pod on Fridays too. So we're around for all this fun stuff, and we want to do some more fun stuff in the future. So this
How about
allows us to do
performance this
that.
week? 6 consecutive days of
Yeah, I
content.
know.
We're
I'm
grinding for you
exhausted.
guys.
I'm exhausted.
Oh
This
yeah, you got a
six
lot more to do with all your shows and stuff. You're working hard over there.
Yeah, I know, and six straight days though of content is fun. Like this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, really is.
Okay, I mean we're starting to get some questions. Some
There we go. Do you think Reichel gets moved up in the lineup after tonight's game? Well, it's funny.
maybe.
There's a dilemma there because like he looked so good with Craig Smith and after the see. It's like, do you almost not want to break them up for a bit and kind of give him some time? But like, I want to see Reichel out there more. Which, to be fair, I mean, I don't have an ice time tracker, but I was at the game and they definitely gave that fourth line a lot of shifts. I guarantee you, Reichel played way more than the 8 minutes he played in the opener. I don't even got to look at stats to know that. That's just intuition for what I saw, and well deserved. They were getting looks; they deserve to be out there. But I think eventually you want to get Reichel in that top six. It's probably not going to happen overnight, but the way he played tonight, I think he definitely deserved at least promotion to the third line. Maybe move after the CU there with him too. Maybe McKay, if he can get something going with them, Dickinson. But eventually I would like to see him in the top six to answer your question, but I don't think that's going to happen right away. Because who do you bump down? Is the question. Yeah.
I don't know who you bumped down either.
Maybe Bertuzzi hasn't really done shit besides the goal.
Yeah, but you're paying Bertuzzi. He's got term left. You want to keep
Yeah.
the morale high with him.
Foligno. Maybe Foligno.
Probably Foligno.
As much
is
as I
the
love
answer.
Foligno, like you shouldn't be having to play first line minutes on this team. I know
Yeah.
he's a captain. I know he got some good chemistry at Bedsy, but it's like he's a third line player the way he is now. I think yeah. But Reich on the first line, going from fourth to first line, oh, that's a bit of a jump. But I kind of would like to see what he do with Bedard though. Maybe give him a shot there. Might not. Yeah.
What else do we have here? Oh, the same guy. Does Richardson keep the same lineup for next game, or does he do another maroon
Does Richardson keep the same?
masterclass?
Sorry, I blanked out for a second there. The connection.
Oh, it's okay. I read the question, so
Okay, my bad.
but you read it. I'm sure you read it on the chat.
Yeah, my connection's a little sus right now.
Keeping the same lineup.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think the way it looked today, again, unless Anderson, Maroon are available, which even if they are, I'd keep them out. I'd keep the same lineup. Especially that fourth line, the way it looked today, I wouldn't touch it. So that's what I would do.
We the views are better on this show. More people are in the chat and watching when the Hawks win. So we need them to do better here.
Yeah, definitely much better after a win than a loss, right?
People, yeah, everybody, keep the spirits up. We got a long season ahead of us. This is a plucky team that is definitely playing. I mean, you can't say that they're not trying.
Oh yeah, the effort's there. I mean, at times you could question it last year, the heart, the drive. Through 6 games, you cannot question any of that this year. Somebody just said in chat, by the way, and this is perfect. Somebody that bumped down Ilya Mikheyev, bump him down the fourth line because he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
He might be the only guy who's played all 6 games without a point. I'm pretty sure he is. He's played all 6 games. So yeah, move Reichel up to the third line, drop him down. Yeah, if there's one change you make in the lineup, maybe do that. Maybe somebody else up there at Benzene Turbo. Somebody speedier. Maybe somebody like Hall. Yeah, maybe move Foligno down. That's what I would probably do.
All right. What else? Anything else from this game?
I don't think I really got much more. I think we have more to discuss on Monday to kind of expand on and also preview the Canucks game more. Unless chat's got more questions here. Yeah, I lost last year like this. Would have felt 10 times worse. No, I totally agree, right? Because it feels like with this year's team, like every game we've got a chance, right? Last year's team is like, oh, this is a game we have to win. But this year, it's like we're going to have more games like this. I mean, every game we've literally been in. It's a small sample size, but it's like this is a different team this year. The compete, the maturity, just the mindset, everything's different. Everything's different. So definitely a much more positive year. I think we can all agree on that this early on. Yeah.
The same, or this person said too, it seemed like the Hawks got momentum from a good player sequence and they lost it to a penalty or goal. What do you want to see from the Hawks when it comes to keeping momentum?
Yeah, that was another problem with last year's team. It's like it's always the shift after, whether it's the opposition or you. The shift after a goal is the most important. And with the Sabres, when they got that third goal right after we tied the game, I was like, ah, shit. Like, at that point, I was a little like flustered and like, I don't know. But yeah, you got to have the same, like, you can't lose momentum like that. The Hawks have had problems with that last year and have still had a bit of issues with that this year. Like the Sharks game, for example, like they scored like right after as well. There's been a few instances like that. And it's going to hurt you against a better team like the Sabres. Like against the Sharks, maybe it wouldn't affect us, but I know they're 2-4-1, but the Sabres are a better team. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah.
Um, yeah, all right. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
You just gotta push shift after shift. You have to break up the game when you're Luke Richardson and you're talking to these guys and you're these guys and I'm not there. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not behind the bench. You have to segment the game into 5-minute periods and say, hey, for each period it's 4 or 5-minute segments. We're gonna go out there and win 5 minutes, and you win 5 minutes by stringing about 5 shifts together.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you can win 5 shifts or 4 out of 5 shifts or 3 out of 5, whatever, then you're going to win the 5 minutes. And if you win more 5, you get the point, right? So
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
when you're able to compartmentalize and segment it, it makes the idea of like, hey, I need to go out there and run through a wall for 45 seconds to a minute a little bit more palatable, I would say. And it's just like getting that message across and knowing that, there are no shifts off in the NHL. If you do take a shift off, like most of the time we can tell, and a lot of the time the puck will end up in the back of your net. So yeah, I just yeah, that's a you'd like to say that's a thing that comes with a young team is when you have a lot of inconsistency, but this
But
isn't a
this isn't
young
really a
team.
young
Yeah,
team.
it's not a
Yeah, no,
young
it's up
team.
there. Yeah, all the young
So,
guys are in Rockford. Yeah. Which they're
uh,
1-2 right now. I don't know how that generational Rockford team is 1-2 to start the season, but hopefully they get going here. But I think the guys you want to see play well are playing well. I had to throw my little prospect thing in here just for a quick
yeah.
minute, but yeah, the guys you want to see play well like Nazar, Slacker look good, and I think Kevin's been playing well too. So just to throw my quick prospect jive in there, we can get back to the Hawks.
Oh, we'll talk about the Slaggert extension too on Monday's
Oh yeah,
podcast, and
that happened right after our show.
we'll talk Frank Nazar's first goal in the American Hockey League
That
regular
was a beauty.
season edition.
Yeah, shorty on the breakaway, very nice.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for me for this game.
Yeah, my battery's running out here. I don't have much time anyway.
Cool. All right. Subscribe to this channel. Follow Chicago Hockey Radio on Instagram. Leave 5 stars on Spotify or Apple or wherever you guys are listening. And we appreciate your time. We'll be back Tuesday night after the Vancouver Canucks game. That one is at home at the United Center at 7:15 Central. And then we'll be back Monday, too, before that for the podcast. We'll talk a little bit more about tonight's game and tee up Tuesday against Vancouver. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the hockey.
Yes, sir.